So sorry, everybody. We're about 3 minutes late. We thought we were all set, and then we realized that, we weren't. So here we are. So welcome, everyone. We're so glad you're joining us. Today was a really fun day. Paige.
A lot of fun.
If you're joining us for the first time, I am Melissa McLeod here at the Wool and the Floss in Grosse Pointe Woods, Michigan. I'm still getting used to saying that, even though we moved in March. And I'm here with my friend Paige Lauster, who is the brains and the skill and all the things, as we were talking earlier. She wears all the hats.
I wear all the hats.
All the hats.
Yes.
She's the head designer, the head accountant. She's probably the janitorial staff.
Shipping, packing.
So she is the head designer behind Blue Ridge Stitchery. And you live in Cleveland, or just outside of Cleveland?
Just in the eastern suburbs of Cleveland, Ohio.
Okay.
Been there about 20
make a little
years.
adjustment.
Okay, Liz is our fine tuner.
There we go.
Oh, no, close your eyes, everyone. Liz is moving the
Scooch
camera.
that way just like 2 inches. Sorry, guys. Sorry. I got thrown into videographing a little late. Okay.
There we go. We had a plan, and then it got changed. It's all good.
Okay.
So Paige, when do we schedule trunk shows? Like 2 years in advance, usually.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So have we had your trunk?
Had it,
But it
at
was like
least once
5
before.
years
It's
ago,
been a
or
minute.
7 years ago. It was a while ago. And so we scheduled this probably in 2023 at Market sometime, I'm sure. And then Paige messaged me maybe like 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, it's like 3 hours away. Why not
Yeah.
just swing on by
She's
and
like,
spend the day with
Why
you?
don't I drive up? So you have been a guest vendor at the Pointing It Out Retreat in Detroit twice. now?
Twice.
So we always love having Paige here. I think we enjoy each other's like Midwestern roots.
There we go. There we go.
We're about of the
I'm a
same
transplant,
era.
really. I'm a southerner, but I've been in the Midwest for 20 years.
Yeah,
So,
so when does it
Cleveland is
stop
home.
counting? I don't know.
I don't know. Cleveland is home, but Virginia is also home. So I just claim everything. Germany also. My husband's from Germany, so that also feels like going home when we make our trips.
Where did you grow up?
I grew up in Charlottesville, Virginia, on a cattle farm
Oh.
in Albemarle County. I was in 4-H. I showed cattle, and we made hay on the farm and had that country life, dogs and cats and pigs and cows and horses and all the good stuff.
Well, and that's what I find you so interesting, because you have like kind of that simple upbringing, if I dare say it that way. And then you also have an MBA and had a big time corporate
I
career
did.
that I think we should dive into a little bit. So if you're joining us, we do have let me give you guys the little things. We're going to dive back into this. The Blue Ridge Trunk Show is here. Everything is on our website. It is 20% off. We're going to be talking about a lot of the canvases, but you guys can look at all that stuff on our website. I think it's so interesting to learn about the designer and where their backgrounds comes from, and how that has evolved into some of your choices. How you go from being a farmer to corporate girl to artist. Like what? How'd that happen? I think that's really interesting. And so we're going to dive into some of that, and we'll show you some of the canvases along the way. Kelly and Liz are here helping with our video process. So thank you to Kelly and Liz. We've got a lot of other floss sets in the building today too. So if you see something that you would like along the way, just let us know. If you hop on over to the website, you're welcome to order. If something like along the way we talk about something and someone asks us to send it to them on this live video, that order will get precedence. But I will tell you, from being a shop owner now for almost a decade, Paige does an outstanding job of keeping inventory, and that's not an easy job.
Well, you can't sell it if you haven't got it. So
This
I
is
try
true.
as much as possible to have a good amount of canvas on hand, because nobody wants to wait 12 weeks for their project, and we're
Right.
excited to get started.
So even if someone claims something live and you order it online, and then suddenly we send you an email and say, sorry, we don't have it right now, but Paige is going to restock us soon. Soon could be a week. Soon could be like worst case scenario, probably 12 weeks. And that would be only if
that
for
would
some
be
reason you didn't have it
very
on
unusual.
order already.
Yeah.
But other designers, we have a little harder time
Right.
kind of getting things from. But I think that goes back to like this beautiful mesh of all the things you've done, and you've got this MBA and a little bit of inventory management experience, and that all comes together and
Helps
shows.
to have a little bit of the
fantastic.
business side.
Yes.
That definitely helps.
Yes.
Good.
So that's kind of what we're doing today. Usual like details. If you want threads, please let us know. We always assume in any live video you don't want threads. If you have more than one address on file with us, let us know where we're shipping it. That will save us from sending something to your winter home when you're at your summer home, if you're so fortunate. And if you're new to us, all you have to do is DM us your information and or call us. I have a feeling, Kelly, if people end up picking things up, we're probably gonna ring these things up tomorrow.
No, because it's online.
Okay, it will be rung up either today or tomorrow. I'm gonna give us a little out just in case. Even though Kelly was trying to crack the whip, I haven't told everyone yet that I have to leave by 5 or 5:15 because my son's coming home to discuss some wedding plans with
Wow,
me.
that's exciting.
And then I have a mahjong lesson.
Okay.
So, anyways, I usually have no life other than work, so this is an exciting night for me. Anyway, so back to things that people actually care about. Yeah, I don't even know
Shall
where
we
to start.
dive into
Well, you've been
how
here.
did I get into this?
So tell us. So you started
Right.
out as off on the farm. We're gonna
Well,
oversimplify
for
that.
anybody that grew up on a farm, you know how much hard work that is. So I
there's
actually
your
very
work ethic.
quickly decided to pursue something off the farm. I love animals, but it was really hard work. My dad was a purebred Angus breeder, and he loved what he did. But my path was in the business realm. I went to Virginia Tech. I studied accounting there and worked as a CPA for a few years.
Okay.
And then I went back to business school, and that's where I met my husband, Stefan. Pursued finance in Germany. We moved to Germany right after we got married, and I worked a few years in finance
So
in
how long did you
Germany.
live overseas? Or
4
should I say
year-
at that time? Was
4
it-
years in Munich, and then we went to India, and we were
I'd
4
forgotten
years
that.
in India. I did not work when we were in India. The kids were coming by then, so I took some time off to raise the family, and we
So
came.
where were your children born?
First one was born in Munich, and then we moved a couple weeks after that to India, so that was quite exciting. And the other two were born while we were living in India, but I did fly back to the US to deliver. So yes, both
Interesting.
born in Charlottesville, and then got their birth
So-
certificates and a passport, and right back to India.
So how pregnant were you when you flew home?
You can fly till 35 weeks on Lufthansa. So
Okay.
I was on 35 weeks home.
Crazy.
Stefan flew in. He's like, okay,
I gotta get
let's
back to
have a
work.
baby.
That's
We're
funny.
going for long walks. And yeah, it worked out. It was crazy, but when you're young, you know, you think you can do pretty much anything.
'cause
and
you kinda
do.
can.
You do. You do.
Because no one told you you couldn't, so
Right,
it's all
right.
good. Interesting. So then, so you didn't work then, and then you came back, and then what happened?
So we came to Cleveland in 2001, and really just worked on raising the kids, and Stefan was consulting. But I've always been making things. I've stitched most of my life, and I stumbled, I guess, into the local shop at one point, and next thing I knew, I had a job working there as a shop girl a few days a week.
And that's, I think, shortly thereafter when I met you.
Yes, and I was working for Ann Forker at Wool and Willow in Cleveland. Hi, Clevelanders.
And Ann and I have actually only met in real life twice, but we've talked so many times because Wool and Willow and Wool and Floss. I
packages.
would get your mail all the time.
Yeah, we got
Because-
some of your thread shipments too.
Yeah.
Like, whoa, who ordered all this?
Well, and I always felt like I got more of your packages because F comes before W. You know, when they go to
Okay,
print it
yeah,
off
I'm like,
alphabetically. So anyways, so
Yeah.
so I'd be like, call and I'd be like, is this Ann? We have one of your packages again. And you know, I never
Right.
fooled around with sending it back to whoever sent it to me. It just went straight to you
Just
guys. So I just
trading,
wasn't worried about it.
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was for a long time. Ann and I just had a telephone relationship.
Right. No, she's wonderful, and I had a great experience working there. And I met Joanna of Plum Stitchery there, and
Who's a
I
very good
credit
friend to us
Joanna
all.
with teaching me how to paint, really, because I thought, I'm kind of homesick from the mountains of Virginia, and nobody was really painting the Blue Ridge Mountains. So she, got me started, and I painted maybe 10 things to start out with.
Was this one of the first ones?
That is one of the first ones.
So this was one of our very first things. So did you do a lot of hiking?
Yes, my sister Barbara took me on my first camping trip when I was about 5.
Ooh,
I wet my pants, but that's another story.
Well, I would wet my pants probably too, because I wouldn't want to go in an outhouse, because I'm kind of
That was
a
the
prima
problem. I
donna.
took one look at the facility. I was like, yeah, that's not happening.
I'll
So-
just hold it for 5 days. I can do it.
Oh, Barbara's a very outdoorsy person, very sporty person, so she got me started on my love for the outdoors and hiking. And I have hiked a few sections of the Appalachian Trail later. And anyway, that was the start of it. An
And do you
inauspicious
camp
start.
now?
Not so much camping, hiking more, walking, a lot of biking.
A lot of outdoors
Strapping.
things that don't involve sleeping overnight.
Right, the
That
sleeping
that
overnight.
that would be my thing.
Sure,
Yeah.
sure. And gardening. I love to garden. So you'll see all kinds of florals and outdoor inspired canvases in my line.
Yes, for
Birds.
sure.
I have a thing for the outdoors, so that pops up all the time in my work.
So I think we met for the first time. It was one of my first destination Dallas markets. Maybe it was my third, but it wasn't too far into my shop ownership. And I think you just walked up to me and introduced yourself. I don't even think
Were
Ann
you
introduced
doing
us.
your videos at
No,
that point? How did I don't even remember.
I don't either. I was
was
sitting. No, because it was
beaver.
before COVID.
Okay.
So I wasn't doing this kind of thing because this became a necessity to
It
keep
did.
my business alive. But I have this vision of sitting at a table, and you just walked up to me and you're like sliding me a business card like secret deal, and I'm like, what are you
What is
even giving me
happening?
this? And I'm like, are you trying to buy her store? Is that why you want to talk to me? You're like, no, I don't want to buy Ann's store.
That's right. I was brand new. I think I had maybe 10 designs, and I was just trying to dip my toe into the pond and see if it could be a thing.
Well, I think it could be a thing, because here we are
it's-
surrounded by all these canvases. So.
At the time I thought, I have an idea for a few things, but I don't know how I'll ever have, some of these lines have hundreds and hundreds of pieces, but over time you chip away at it and you have ideas, and next thing you know, you've got
Well, and you and Melissa Prince both, I believe I'm remembering this right, that Melissa is also an accountant. And it's mind blowing to me because, I'm a numbers girl. I can't draw a freaking stick figure, excuse my language. But I'm so unartistic. Liz is giggling over there because she's seen me try to draw something, and she's like, let me redo that for you.
communicate through drawing, so that's
So it amazes me that someone can be so left brain and right brained at the same time, because that doesn't happen that often. That's impressive.
Well, the accounting, both appealed to me. I think I was always creative. I wasn't, I didn't pursue art as a career because I was afraid it was a little impractical. So my parents
probably
grew up,
weren't wrong.
My parents grew up during the Depression, and they were like, pick something practical where you can make a living, and definitely accounting and finance was a wonderful background.
I was almost an anthropology major. As a matter of fact, I even found some paperwork the other day that I declared myself an anthropology major. I am sure my parents were having a complete and utter fit.
Oh.
But thankfully,
Yeah.
unthankfully, I don't know.
Right.
I saw the light, and here I am with
Yeah.
a business degree. But anyways,
I mean, so this is definitely a second or third act for me, the artistic side, but it's a pure pleasure. And it's nice to have the background. The business background helps me, I think, take care of my customers and make sure things get
And your
sent out on
shops.
time.
I was saying, thank you, Paige, so much for the trunk show being so organized.
Spreadsheets are going to be on point,
Yeah.
but it's been nice to focus on the artistic side. I've taken some classes in the
I
last
was
few
just
years.
gonna ask.
Yeah,
And so initially it was all just because you like to stitch and you wanted to
Right.
create some things that felt like your
Home.
nurturing items. And but
once I got into it, I thought, well, probably would be good to know a little something about art. if I'm
and
gonna
not just going
do
gut
that.
instinct.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. And during COVID, I was really lucky. The Rhode Island School of Design launched a lot of online classes. So you didn't have to go in person. And so I just started signing up for classes. I took introduction to drawing, I took some digital painting, I took actual painting on
That is
canvas,
so smart.
Adobe Illustrator, I just
So were you
dove in.
taking
And
those for like credits, for grades? Were you just auditing them?
I just took them to make myself better. I mean, I guess you could stack them up and at some point get a degree from them, but I really am so curious about
Right.
how to make the canvas look like what I want it to look like, and to make it stitchable but also semi-realistic. It's a fine line. I like my designs to be approachable for the stitcher but still look reasonably like what they are. So not too cartoonish. It's a
Right.
fine line. I don't know, what do you guys think? It's a-
I-
you know,
I have
Everything
chills.
you're saying, Paige, just makes my heart
It makes
happy.
me want to stitch more and more of your canvases.
Oh, that's so
I know,
sweet.
they're
Because
so
I
So
think,
sweet.
good.
like you said before, an art degree is not always like, your parents aren't like, oh my god, art degree. But for what you're doing, like that's, for me as a person who has an art degree, that's huge respect that you were like, I'm gonna dive in
You
and
need to
figure
know
out,
some stuff.
yeah, get a
Yes.
background.
Right.
Yeah,
right.
I
Color
appreciate
theory,
that. It's hard.
Well, we-
perspective.
We
all
have a
those
lot of
things.
conversations about color around here, and Liz always laughs because I don't ever have the right words for like what I like and what I don't like, but she's always like, you're always exactly right, you just don't know
Don't
how
know
to
why.
assign those labels to things. So she's like, she and Kaylee will get into their tertiary colors and opposite and colors and blah blah blah, and I'm like, I don't know, those two just don't work together. Or yeah, that works perfectly. And
That
Liz
makes
is-
me happy.
She'll try to tell me how I like have figured it out, but probably some proper education
Right.
goes a long way.
It's been good. It's helped my confidence, and I think I'm getting better at knowing, like, okay, this works or this doesn't work. I'm also more willing to walk away from something when it isn't working. So yeah, just get better. Like with anything, the more you practice at it, you get better.
Well, let's see some of your things.
Let's
You,
do it.
the other thing that you do a great job at, if people don't know this about Paige, is, well, when did you start stitching needlepoint? Like, when were you a stitcher? Like, as a young?
So probably the first thing I did when I was maybe 7 or 8 years old, but I'd
Okay.
say I didn't really pick it up with gusto until graduate school.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. When you need a little stress relief,
I
perhaps.
started doing stockings. Stocking for the husband was the first like really big project.
Still,
Now
just
everybody has.
I was just
and
saying,
then
does
my
everyone have
daughter
stocking?
stitched the stocking for me because by the time I got to me, you never do your own.
We have
And
a
then-
customer whose daughter just stitched her
Yeah,
stocking.
and I
was like,
treasure
"That's
it.
the sweetest
And it's one
thing."
of Joanna's designs.
Aw.
So it feels
Which
good.
one
It
is
feels
it?
right. It's the brownstone, the London
Love that.
Oh my
brownstone.
god.
Yeah.
That
Love
is.
that one.
It's beautiful.
A beautiful
She did a great
stocking.
job.
I've written a stitch guide for that. I shouldn't even say
It's
that out loud because
fantastic.
I have no idea where that went. I think that's when I was a young, dumb shop owner, and I wrote the stitch guide and just like sent it and
Inexperienced.
didn't keep it, and away it went. But I enjoyed just writing the
Yes,
stitches
I
for it.
enjoyed receiving it. It was
I
so
bet.
nice to receive a needlepoint gift. So that
That's
was my
amazing.
first.
Amazing. Okay,
All right.
so let's talk about some of these. So,
Okay.
sorry, I started, my point was that Paige is also a very good stitcher. She probably always was, and then I'm sure when you worked at the Wool and the Willow, you got in even
I think I was
deeper.
basket weaving right up until probably I started at Wool and Willow, and I just
So
have
she-
loved learning all the open stitches.
She does a
and-
great job picking stitches,
beading.
and do you stitch other people's things? Because you've stitched so much of your own things.
I don't stitch so much now. I'm
It's hard.
often having to do samples because
Right.
I find it really helps people bond with the piece when they see, oh, this is what it could
The
look like. So
possibilities are-
yes,
yeah.
so but I do try to slip in some, just for the fun of it, stitching from time to
So
time.
if you have stitched some of these, do you have stitch guides for them, or is it more like we could just send them
I
a
have
picture?
gotten to the point where I do tend to write down now what I'm doing because that's happened, and they're like, what did you do? I'm like, oh, well,
I'm
I
not really
dove into
sure."
my stash and I pulled out a book. But yeah, most of the time I can pull it together.
Okay.
Yeah.
So,
All right,
yes.
shall we look at a couple?
Sure, yeah, sure.
Okay, well, so the very sort of original design
I'm gonna grab the
is
pillow.
of the Blue Ridge, obviously, because I was feeling homesick for the mountains. So this pillow-sized version of the Blue Ridge, and there is a stitch guide for it, done by Mary Legalet, Whimsical Stitch, and it was just a lot of fun to do.
Well, and what,
So that-
and so she wrote all these stitches, you just took her lead?
I followed her lead and stitched
Okay.
it. just as written.
And I heard you talking to one of our in-person customers today about how you learned a lot about perspective from
Right,
stitching
that was
this.
one of the first things I learned from Mary, is that when you're doing a piece where you want things to recede into the distance, that you choose a larger stitch with heavier, thicker fibers in the front, and that brings this mountain range forward. And then as you go into the distance, these stitches are increasingly a little bit lighter fibers and more open canvas as you go into the distance.
Get a little
and it
closer
just
so you
helps
guys can really
see,
appreciate this.
it's the illusion of depth.
So this canvas is here. Do we have the stitch guide here, Kyle? Do you know?
I think so.
Okay, so
yeah.
we've got the stitch guide for this that is from Mary Legley, and those are also, so all the canvases that you're gonna see today are all 20% off, and the ones that have stitch guides, we will mention that there's a stitch guide, and the stitch guides are also 20% off.
Perfect. All
Yeah,
right,
so this is beautiful.
So that's sort of the original Blue Ridge, and also this little round comes on 13 mesh and 18 mesh. A smaller bite-sized version of the original Blue Ridge. Yeah.
Especially on 13 mesh, that would stitch up in a dream. Did you pick your stitches for this one?
I did pick my stitches. I
girl.
sort of stole Mary's idea. So again, it starts with a little bit bigger stitches in the bottom and gets lighter and more open as you go to the top.
Love it.
Same story with this version of the mountains. It's called Blue Ridge Christmas with the little white tree. And it's a lot of fun if you want to explore decorative stitches. Each area is sort of self-contained and easy to pick a different stitch for each layer.
Yeah, they're really good. There is, just because I've had this question quite a bit, there's another Blue Ridge design out there that has a snowman out there. That is not Paige's design.
Right.
And she doesn't know the Blue Ridge Mountains, so that's okay.
That's right.
But, yeah, so the snowman
Yeah.
one is not your design. Just for the
Correct.
side note.
And then the brand new for the spring,
this is
because
one of
I
my
had done
favorites.
some winter versions of the Blue Ridge, I decided to do a springtime one. And this is I don't know, can you see it against my white sweater? Perhaps that works.
Oh, Liz, can you get us a white card?
Sure.
Yeah, sorry. So again, it's the mountains with the rhododendron blooming in the spring. And again, I've chosen to stitch the mountains in a pattern so that they recede into the distance with that pretty pink sunset.
I think the way you've stitched it is absolutely gorgeous, but every time I see this, I want to do all this ribbon work on
Ribbons.
the bottom.
You could go crazy with ribbons
I would
or
have
beading.
so much fun. So we have a
Absolutely.
ribbon class coming up that I think Kelly and Liz talked about on Tuesday. Was that just yesterday?
Yesterday, yeah.
Sure was. So we've got a couple openings. So if you wanted to take this, thank you.
This is for the bigger stuff.
Okay,
Great.
thanks so much. So if you wanted to, learn some ribbon techniques, this would be such a gorgeous canvas. But it looks beautifully. I think you just basket wove.
did.
it.
I
Is
just
it
did
basket
basket
weaved or basket wove. I never know the proper term. So
Yeah, so it comes in a round on 18 mesh or a 5-inch square on 13
Sal.
mesh.
Hi, Sal. Yeah, hop on in and say hi.
This is our one of our longtime UPS.
Hi,
agents.
everybody.
You guys have heard us talk about Sal. He's no longer comes here very often, but is Steve on vacation?
Yes, he is.
Okay, well, we've got some work for you in the back. Don't forget about the stuff in the
Yeah.
back hall
He
for us.
usually comes to the back and picks
No,
us.
they-
Sorry, we digress. We're excited to see Sal. I actually got to talk to Brad today too, who's our other UPS man. So anyways, Steve's great too, but
Back to 100%.
we're missing Brad and Sal a lot. So, anyway,
Walking around you.
okay,
80.
okay.
Still gotta do 50.
So that square is, I'm sorry, 5 by 5?
Yep, 5x5 on 13.
So pretty. So that would look
Have that in
so
stock and
beautiful
around.
in that white Betsy box.
That
You
would
guys
look-
know how I love to talk about my Betsy boxes. I think we have the white one in the building.
I'll look.
Yeah,
Oh,
Kelly's
quick
call.
question while
Yeah.
I look. The original Blue Ridge piece you designed, was that the rectangular one?
The little baby one is the very first one. This one
Yes.
on small.
Okay, that's
is the
what
very
that's what
first
people were
one.
asking. I'm gonna get the 18 mesh
It's
version
right. It's
so they can
hanging
see
right
it.
there
Yep.
on the right.
Got it?
Yes.
And then, so that was the original, so that
Yes.
comes in 13 or 18. And then I think a couple new people are on, so I just wanted to mention again, if you're joining late, this is Paige from Blue Ridge. The trunk show is 20% off. These are all her designs, and she'll show you another artist she represents later. And if you want something today, you can say you want it by claiming it during the live. I think that not
Perfect,
everyone
right.
does that.
Shout out if you'd like one of these pieces, and Kelly and Liz will set it aside for you. And
Yeah.
then, I don't know, how's the magic happen after that?
Oh, we got that down pat.
It's not my problem.
Either everyone's on file, or if they're not, you can either give us a call later or DM us your address, your email address, and don't forget your real life name, because sometimes
That's important.
your Instagram name is very different. But
that would be
I
pretty.
so I'm gonna hold this up in front, which doesn't really make a whole lot of sense. But these boxes are not very expensive. I wanna say they're $70-ish. Oh, here, look at this price tag in here. $69. I was darn close. So it's a white lacquer box. It has a 5x5 opening. You just open this up like a picture frame, and there is glass in here. So if you stitched it like Paige had stitched her original, which I think is over here. Where's
Right
the
there.
square guide?
I haven't
buried
stitched
it?
the square
Oh,
yet.
that's fine. So let's pretend she chose these stitches. This would fit under the glass if it were a 5x5. But if you want to do all this ribbon work that I was discussing, it would be so beautiful, and you could just pull out this glass. This glass doesn't need to be there. You just have to make sure like no one walks by with like their coffee or their red wine. But you know, this is like such a living room worthy piece. It's just absolutely beautiful. So anyways, that I
I'm
think
so
is
happy
really
you guys
fantastic.
like that one. It really means a lot to me. It's
one of my favorites.
The last time we hiked the trail, it was that time of year when the azalea and the rhododendron were blooming. It's like walking through a tunnel. It's just so incredible. And every so often you'll come out to a spot where you can get the vista of the mountains in the back. And it's
I love
really
it.
breathtaking.
I love it.
So good. Enjoy
Okay.
that. All right, on to another item that's relatively new is a set of 4 seasons that I did. And I'll just show
Okay,
you.
let's show
spring.
the canvas first, because the canvas itself is very pretty. Can you reach? Sorry.
Yeah, I can reach.
The canvas is very, very pretty, but then the stitching on
That's
this
Mary
piece
Leg again.
is fantastic. So it may be Mary's ideas, and I'm trying to show 2 different cameras. So sorry, I know it's like I'm out of screen, but you did the stitching, but
I
Mary's
stitched it, yeah.
ideas, and it is
I love
absolutely
stitching this.
gorgeous.
It was so fun, and it also continues to look like the flower that I painted, which is important to me, because I
So
want it
beautiful.
to be the it's the dogwood blossom.
And you
Which,
finish
again,
this as an
reminds me.
ornament, but it'd be so cute as a bag tag or attached to a rattan bag. Like, it's just so summery and beautiful. Although it's probably, is it supposed to be summer
This
or
is
spring?
spring.
I was saying,
Yep,
I'm saying
spring.
summer, but I feel
That's
like
okay.
it's spring. So
Spring,
are you looking
the
for,
dogwood.
I'm good.
do you need a number?
Nope, I'm good.
Okay.
And then we'll go, shall we
This
do
background.
summer?
So can I talk about something else about this though? You have, if I'm right, I believe, and I should have asked Paige offline, but it's a very, very open stitch, and it has this like glimmer to it, but I think it's because there's a piece of lame behind it and you didn't stitch the whole background.
I don't remember, let me look.
You're like, give that to me. This is all open,
Oh,
isn't it?
yeah, I think the finishers put, you're so smart. They put a little
It's so pretty. So yeah,
layer
so
of
there's
silvery lame behind it.
So see how it kind of glimmers, but that actually is a very, very open stitch, but it doesn't look unfinished because of how the finisher has added the layer behind. So it is just gorgeous.
Clever. And
Gorgeous.
Good eye, Melissa.
Yes, I only have one. You are correct.
I didn't know that about you till today.
You didn't know I was blind in one eye?
No.
How have we never talked about that? That's
I
so
don't
funny.
know.
Yeah, because then we sat down and I said, I have to be on this side of you because I can't see you over here. So,
Right.
yeah.
Okay, good. We're in the right spots. Okay,
yeah.
so here's summer. It's the oyster boat. Oysters on the pier with a glass of wine. Quintessential.
So
It's
pretty.
the northern neck of Virginia is what inspired it. But
And there's her
anywhere
s-
that they have oysters, this would be a
And
little
that-
slice of summertime.
It's her stitch version. Now this one glimmers, but it's because there was a lot of very detailed beading involved. I mean, this is really, really pretty, but it kind of has that same effect as the other one with the cyclame braid behind it, but Paige had to bead all those things. So I think you could also maybe do a simpler background stitch and leave it open and ask for that silk lame behind
For
it.
sure.
I keep saying silk lame. Sorry, it's lame
lame.
metallic fabric. Silk lame pops out of the needlepoint retailer's mouth quite a bit. Sorry.
Okay, then fall is apple picking.
Which we love here in Michigan
There you
because it is a
go.
big activity around here. When my kids were young, every fall you had to go to the orchard.
Sure.
And of course, I'm not sure they were all about the apples. I think they were more about the cider and the warm donuts. So yeah, it's really pretty.
And there is a stitch guide for that too.
So the
Rhododendron.
has the dogwood, does that have a stitch guide?
Yes.
Sorry,
all
I'm on
four-
a delay.
The four
okay.
seasons, each of the four has a stitch
Has
guide.
a stitch guide, but they don't come with a canvas. They're additional
It's
and they're
separate.
from Mary's. Okay.
Yes.
Correct.
And
Thank
I have
you.
a couple of them here, and I can always get more. You can order them from Mary, so
Yeah.
Okay.
we can
Sounds good.
make that happen. And then finally, tree farm, right? Who doesn't love a tree farm for
So
winter?
classic.
That was Megan's and my purchase
So
Yeah.
from
Yes,
market.
I
Or
love
no,
this one.
retreat.
And of course, I had to sneak in a little bit. The mountains are in the back again. But,
And here is her stitch version.
little
So good. I love it. I love it. So
that one was
these
fun to
are
do
really
as
great.
well.
Yeah, so
And a little
if you're
cardinal in
someone
the
that doesn't
tree.
want all 4 seasons, great. But if you are someone who celebrates Christmas, you can just do just the one. It's fantastic.
Pick and choose.
Fantastic. Okay,
Right.
what should we talk about next?
How about why don't we do this little turtle here?
Oh yeah, did you guys notice I'm wearing my turtle necklace? I
Aw.
intentionally put this on this morning, so sorry, I'll lean up here. So I have a good friend who's a silversmith. Actually, I should say longtime family friend is a better way. And my bee that I wear a lot is by Wendy Cried, the silversmith. And I just
That's
got this turtle
beautiful.
last year, and when I got it, it reminded me of you because you have these great turtle
I
canvases.
do.
We're going to talk about your big turtle too,
Okay.
but you go ahead with that one.
So the turtle happened because my daughter spent a year in Hawaii when she was right out of college. She studied psychology, and then she went and helped kids that were having trouble. She was in like a therapeutic setting for teenagers, and she was on Hawaii for 1 year.
Megan,
And,
did you hear this?
yes, and they were.
Megan's like, when do I get to go to Hawaii
yes.
for a year?
So the honu is very revered, the sea turtle in Hawaii, and so I was inspired to stitch this and paint it for her. And I wanted to show you because I have done this.
Oh, here, I got it.
So
Sorry.
I did it 2 different ways to just show you that you're not really locked in with one solution when you pick a canvas. You could do it round like I did here, or I just ignored the background and stitched a square and made it into a cute little nugget of a pillow.
And I
So-
especially love that because I have so many customers who'll come in, they're like, but wait, I have to, I'm sorry, I have to have a background that's this color. I'm like, no, you don't. Like, look at even the artist completely changed up the shape, and maybe she probably didn't need to use our tools, the trade templates. But you know, you can just use those square templates, square something off because we have our square and rectangular templates, and completely change the background color. So even the artist will do that. So don't hesitate to change it up to make it your
Absolutely.
own.
Once it's yours, it's out of my hands, and you have all the choices to do what you like.
Right,
So,
for sure.
I think that's one of the questions that came up the most when I was a shop girl, is that people felt unsure about choosing colors and worried that the artist would somehow be upset if I change it. And I'm like,
Right. Well,
it's
and
yours now.
I don't think the artist is ever going to be upset. I think part of it, and I know this was my situation, my personal situation, you know, we're back to, like, I'm a numbers girl. I'm not an artist. I always felt like, well, why would I change it? The artist knows so much more than I do. But there's not one right answer.
You have to please yourself as well. I mean, what catches your eye might be a little different
Right.
from what.
And whatever
What I paint
day
original.
you decided to design this, these lighter, like, sea blues felt better to you, and then the day you were stitching it, this dark blue felt better to you. So there's no right or wrong answer. They're both equally fantastic. So there's also a really large turtle that I happen to pull aside over here. So you guys have heard me talk. Whoops, sorry. Oh,
Here,
you
I
got
will
it.
fetch.
You guys have heard me talk probably ad nauseum about our self-finishing table that I'm obsessed with. So quick little rundown about the table. So this is the table. We have 2 different sizes. These are on our website. They are handmade by artisans actually in Ohio. It's a Ohio theme today. And they are a self-finishing table, meaning that this top tray comes right off. So there's no finishing involved. They come in 5 different colors, so you can see the color choices here. My little samples are rolling around. But this table rolled out at the
Retreat.
retreat, and your pieces work so well with them. So this is the larger table. So let me move this table again. So if you have this table, Paige has a number of fantastic pieces. Sorry. And if you don't, we are very happy to help you match something up if you would like to. I'll hold that for, let's talk about this turtle first because he's so good. So 13 mesh, and you of course don't have a background here, but I'm gonna guess that if you were to stitch this, you wouldn't do a white background.
No. I stitched it in a blue.
Okay.
I did a
Something
full
light-
coverage
lighter than this?
that contrasted with that. Yeah.
And we don't have that
I
one
don't
here.
have my stitch sample today, but yeah, I did some. What did I use? A Krynic that's you could see through a little bit on here to get a little bit of a sparkle there, and
Love it.
I did a deep blue here, and then a brighter blue on the. These are actually inspired by tattoo artists. This is
interesting.
tattoos around the side.
I love it.
Yeah.
It's so beautiful, so beautiful. So if you're, again, should we talk about these couple larger pieces since
Sure.
we have them here? Tell us about this beauty.
Yes,
The
so-
colors are so good. This comes in 2 different sizes, I
Right,
believe.
this is a Magnolia by Catherine Knuth, who's a fine artist in Michigan. I spied her art a few years ago and just thought it vibes well with what I'm doing, and I reached out to
sure.
her, and she was excited to have her things on needlepoint as well. She paints an acrylic on wood panels, and then she trusted me with her art to adapt it to needlepoint. So I'm really excited to show her things. She has an interesting point of view, wonderful colors. This is her abstract of a magnolia leaf. I think it's 12 inches square on 13 mesh. It also comes on 18 and it's slightly smaller, about a 10 incher.
So pretty.
And
Is that right behind you?
there's,
Oh no, that's a different one.
hang on, I'll grab it. There's the big one.
The other one, and I kind of wanted Liz here. Megan, will you tell Liz? Come up. Thank you. This current one, Liz and I are absolutely obsessed with, and this is Paige's design. So this sunflower is absolutely gorgeous, and I believe you told me you were growing sunflowers for your daughter's wedding.
I grew a
Do you remember
cutting.
that?
Yep, I grew a cutting garden for Emily's wedding. It was the end of August last year, and we had a party, the night before party
So
at the house.
beautiful.
And we had zinnias and sunflowers and dahlias and cottage gardeny blooms. So I decided to paint this as a remembrance of a very happy
It's so pretty.
time for all of us.
So, and you have got this large sunflower, and then is this a sunflower
This
bloom
is like
down
just
here?
waiting to pop open, yes.
And
it's
then,
immature,
you
and
know,
there's a bee.
we have to talk about the bee, because you know I'm obsessed by bees, even though I'm scared to death of bees because I'm kind of allergic to them. But apparently Melissa in Greek means honeybee,
It
so I think
does.
that's something to do with it. But Liz and I have talked about this canvas so many times. There is a possibility we're going to do this as a mystery class.
Ooh,
So we were kind of
what
brainstorming
is it?
today.
Tell me, what does that mean? What is
That
a
means
mystery?
that it'll be a mystery to see what Liz and I do with it. So sometimes with a class, you stitch the whole thing ahead of time and then you teach to that piece. And I kind of learned this, I have to give credit to Ruth Schmuff, because she does most of her classes as mystery classes, meaning she's
discover it
inspired
as
by
you
a
go along.
canvas. And so we did the Whimsy Santa last year from Liz Godric Dillon, if I'm saying her name in the right order. I think I said it in the
think
right
so.
order. And so we just kind of dove in and we each did different pieces, and the class rolled out over the course of like, you know,
Right.
4 weeks.
Nice.
So we both adore this canvas, and we were coming up with lots of ideas today.
Oh,
So
thank you. I'm so glad you like that one. It means a lot
And-
to me.
I've got the
love
navy
it.
blue self-finishing table, and I own the white self-finishing table, and I think it's gonna look really
Would
good
look
in either
beautiful in
one.
that, yeah.
It also would be a fantastic pillow. So we're excited about this. I can't guarantee you that we're going to do that, but that's today's like excitement. We were getting really excited. Liz was pulling threads and yeah, so we both have a lot of ideas about this. Kelly was weighing in with a few additional things when I'm like, but we're not sure what we do about blah, blah, blah. And then Kelly's throwing in some very, very golden
nice.
nuggets. So we'll see, but that's kind of what we're toying with.
Right.
So yeah, but that's one of my favorites. 13 mesh. It's big, but it's gonna go fast because it's 13.
This is just the companion to the,
So
the
pretty.
original. And then this is the triple bloom,
So beautiful.
another Catherine piece.
And we love Catherine's pieces here at the Wool and the Floss because not only are they beautiful in
Michigan
general, but she does a lot of Michigan inspired things. We have her sailboats. This is the 13 mesh version, and this is part of the trunk show. We still have an exclusive through Market this year. Is that when our 18 mesh expires?
March.
So anytime a shop has an exclusive, it's usually excluded from a trunk show. But the 13 mesh is available.
And here's the little guy.
Did you stitch that
I
with
just stitched
our
it
guide or with yours?
I used all the threads and 90% of your guide. I changed like one or two small things.
So
It's
this,
basically, yes.
and Liz had written a guide for our retreat
Here's the one that Rebecca stitched.
that our
It's
sweet
so
Rebecca
pretty,
stitched
and
it.
and I bought the frame too because I just love the way you finished it.
So the frame,
So darling.
supposedly we have 2 of these frames in the building and 1 is still available, but I couldn't find them earlier, so I'm probably ordering more of these frames.
I think that might be the one. that
Well, it says we have
think is
2 in
available.
inventory,
Okay.
so I don't know, we're missing, they're
It's in
MIA.
a brown box, so.
Yeah, we'll find them and or order more of these, so we do really like this frame. It's a really nice, high quality frame.
That was a lot of fun to stitch too, I must say.
Yes, this is the Sleeping Bear Dunes, yes.
Both of these are so good.
So tell us how things work when you have licensed art.
So
you take
Catherine
her
sends me an image of her painting, a high quality image, and then I mean, she gives me some license to make it work for needlepoint.
Right,
And
because
then-
the people aren't painting in real life on a grid.
Right. No, exactly. I mean, it's the tyranny of the grid. You have to make it work. But I usually make an outline of her original work and place it under the canvas, and then I try to mix the colors to match as well as I can. The interesting thing about her piece is that she often has part of the wood is exposed, so you can't see it on this, but on some of the flowers, I've left like the outline, which is, it looks like an outline on the needlepoint, but in the original, it's actually a little bit of the exposed wood panel behind it. But I love to leave it there as I think it adds a lot to the ultimate design. As Liz was saying yesterday, it almost looks like stained glass,
Yes.
some of these pieces. So I left the outline from the original piece.
So you're basically taking her art and then trying to translate it so that it is now stitch painted? Is that-
Right, right.
Because
And
some
then,
other
and I
license.
try to make it look as much like the original as possible, and then I send her pictures of the painted version to get her approval, yeah, before I send it off.
Because I know some licensed art, the distributor, maybe not an artist, will take it and basically just like kind of plop the art on a canvas. And then
Oh, no, that doesn't
our,
work, right,
our
right, right.
nice way in this industry of calling that is painterly. But it requires a lot of decisions about what
Yes.
color's gonna go where, especially for a newer stitcher, they're gonna be ripping their hair out. And so you're doing the hard work for
Right,
the
I make all the
stitcher.
decisions about where, yeah, you can
So-
see where
Yeah.
one color starts and the next one.
So this
Again.
is, sorry, I've shown this a couple times, but unless you're from Michigan, you may not recognize this. This is Sleeping Bear Dunes, correct?
Yes.
Got that right?
Yes.
So there's a 4-inch round. And then, what do we think this is? 8 by 10-ish, I'm just guessing, something like that, on 18 mesh, and it is gorgeous.
Yeah,
Absolutely gorgeous.
she's got quite the interesting point of view. I love her pieces. So I have a couple more in the hopper for the fall, so stay tuned for
Ooh.
those. And there's some coaster-sized ones as well. I should take the paper. Here's the lake view. And you guys maybe saw these the other day, and here's golfing by the lake with the little sailboats
So pretty.
out in the water.
And what I alluded to earlier, the 13 mesh sailboat version is 20% off. Our 18 mesh version is available. It is not discounted, but it does come with a stitch guide that's complimentary, yes? No? Stitch
No,
guide
it's
is
paid. No,
paid,
available.
25?
I believe 25.
Okay, so it's not a high price stitch guide. I mean,
Correct.
it's very,
It's very
very
doable.
accessible.
Yes.
So, yeah, so
Good.
that's, the 18 mesh is still available.
Great.
So,
Someone
okay.
was asking about if this came in a square, so I just want to show, like when you showed the round.
Yes, yes.
And
the
someone was also
dogwood.
saying, could I have the stitch guide for the round because I have the square? I don't think it would translate because it's 13 mesh and bigger, don't you think?
This
don't know.
one, and you mean the little one?
Yeah.
I don't think it would translate.
don't think
because
so
it's
either.
a lot of
Yeah.
petite.
Yep, a lot
Maybe if
bigger.
you used regular silk lame instead of petite,
Yeah.
it would work, but
I would say a very experienced stitcher could
probably
translate a
make it
lot
work.
of the knowledge,
Mm-hmm.
but it might be
you
more
need the-
work than
the
it's
heavier.
worth.
Yeah.
This
So-
also comes on 18. I'm not sure if that's in stock, but the square.
The larger,
Okay.
the pillow size comes 18 and 13, and is the 18 like
It's
20?
on the wall, I think.
Oh,
No, that's
No,
13.
Is that the
big one.
13? Oh, okay,
So it's
sorry.
probably 25% smaller, right?
Yep.
Yeah, so,
Oh, and I'm
Very
going to
pretty.
show that while we're at it, because I had a little moment yesterday, and
I saw
Garden.
I saw your story.
so I tend to go down the rabbit hole on certain things. I learned that the monarch butterfly is dwindling and is having trouble keeping the population up. I don't know if you know about monarchs, but it takes 4 generations from them to traverse from Texas, from Mexico, Texas. They end up in Ohio and Canada, and then the last generation flies all the way back to Mexico.
So they go Ohio to Canada, they skip Michigan?
They lay eggs. They come to Michigan too, I'm sure. Anyway,
Sorry, I just had to ask.
long story short, you have to have milkweed at every stop of the way for the next generation to be born. And
Oh.
milkweed is a problem to find, evidently. So I planted milkweed. I grew it from seed 3 years ago, and now I have like a pretty
Your
decent
dad is so
stand.
proud of you right now.
He is. I think so. I think you're right. And yesterday, oh my gosh, for the first time, I had a monarch butterfly sitting on the milkweed, and I could cry, you guys. I was so happy to see it.
That is fantastic.
And of course, I painted a monarch because I'm just
So,
sentimental about the monarch. So
so
there it is.
I'm gonna risk asking this question, is your father still alive?
No, my parents are both long gone.
So,
Yeah,
so maybe that
so-
monarch was a sign from
A
your
little
dad.
visitor. A little
Yes,
visitor.
yes, I believe in those kind of things, so,
Yeah.
lovely.
Yeah.
And that is a 5-inch square too?
I think that is.
Yes, it is.
Oh yes.
So, sorry not to beat a dead horse, but this would look fantastic in that white boxy box. That box also comes in a black lacquered version, which would be so good with that. Oh, Kelly, it was okay. Kelly's running. She's getting her steps in.
And not just to talk to the UPS guy.
But oh my
Oh, with
gosh,
the black, it's beautiful.
so pretty. So
I stitched
again.
it, and you guys are finishing it for me actually, and I'm gonna have it a pillow in black velvet. So I had the same
that
thought
would be
to pick
very
up
pretty.
the black.
Yeah, that black just makes black makes every color pop.
Someone
So-
was asking the size of the 13 mesh sailboats. It is a little over 7
5x7.
by, yep, 5 by 7 inch.
Mm-hmm.
So we could probably find you that really pretty frame in a 5x7 too.
Ooh, yeah, I'll have to stitch that one up. They're just handing me canvases.
I
so
know.
I'm like,
Yeah,
here I go.
sorry. That's what we do. Melissa, Melissa's used to it.
This is a pink lady slipper.
I just thought it was so
Little
pretty and it
orchid.
comes in both sizes.
They're pretty rare.
I'm
but
so
can
glad
see
you
them.
said it was an orchid because I'm like,
It's an orchid.
oh.
You see it sometimes on
I don't know
mountain
my
walks.
flowers.
They're quite rare. You must never move them.
course not.
They have, I forget what it is. They have some symbiotic relationship with the
And
some
available-
fungus or whatever bacteria. But don't move the orchids.
Both in 13.
Yeah,
Sorry,
that
I'll get
one's a
this
13
larger
mesh,
board.
and this is the
13 and 18. So pretty. And what I love too about this particular piece is this is larger. It's probably about a 8 by 9, something like that. But with this big open background, there are so many beautiful stitches you could put in that would like be done
Make
lickety
that move
split.
along.
And they just so many interesting patterns and so pretty, so pretty.
Thank you. I
Okay.
think we had enough for Catherine, so let's do.
Yeah, we sorry we ended up there, and I
Sorry.
don't even
No,
know
it's
how we
okay.
ended up with Catherine. But I love that you, like I said, are making this beautiful art into something that's so stitchable, because that doesn't always happen. So
Try to keep that. It helps being a stitcher. I try to keep that in mind.
for sure,
So,
for sure.
Good. Shall we do a little Christmas?
Yeah, these were a big hit today. Well, these were a big hit your first market out. I think we sold like 40 or
Oh my
60
gosh,
or
okay.
100 of each of them. Like we could not keep these in stock.
So this is old Santa and Mrs. Claus, and the fun is that they have feet.
And look at Mrs. Claus's feet are indeed narrower
She
than
has
Mr.
lady
Claus's
boots and he
feet.
has Santa boots.
And
it
are yours
comes-
stitched with the stitch guide that Patricia wrote?
Patricia stitched both of these for me. Aren't they
Oh,
amazing?
even better.
Yes.
I mean, I shouldn't say even better,
Oh, she
but
did a really nice job.
she is
Yeah.
a talent.
So there's a guide that goes with these,
Let
and
me show you this Mr. Claus a little closer. They're just so cute. And these are done hanging, but I think these could also be really cute without hangers on them and put a little more weight in them and like set them under, especially if you're someone who has like not a massive Christmas tree. Like, I mean, my mom's
be
now to
so
the point
cute.
who she likes
has
a
like a little
tabletop
table
tree, and they could just be sitting at the bottom of the tabletop tree.
adorable.
So cute.
I've seen them with little pom-poms on top and different.
Our little
everything.
fur, our
Oh, it would be so
our
cute.
mink palms would be so cute. And put a little weight in them. If you got grandkids,
Mm-hmm.
they could like, I hesitate to say the word play, but they could use them gently and kind of move them around the house. Just so cute, so cute.
Just to show you so the canvas is in two pieces, the cone shape, and then the feet is a separate canvas. And the only trick about it is just don't add any extra rows. It's the math works perfectly if you stitch how it comes.
And this is your PSA for the day. This is your takeaway, even if you decide you don't need one of Paige's canvases, but why would you decide that? Is any three-dimensional piece, don't add anything to it. Like a brick cover, you add rows that just like monkeys with the whole finishing
Right,
scenario.
the
So.
geometry of it, right.
Yeah.
So that's Santa, and here's Mrs.
And these stitch guides are Patricia Sew, not Mary
Patricia
Lagalay,
Sew.
just because
Yes,
we've talked
Patricia.
about Mary a lot. We want to give Patricia proper credit for
Absolutely.
these. And I know a lot of us have stitched from Patricia Sewn stitch guides. We've done a couple different clubs with her, and her stitch guides are
On point. Yeah.
and very easy. Like they're a really great opportunity, even if you're someone who has never stitched a decorative stitch in your life. If you were like Paige, who was basket weave only until she like showed up at the Wool and the Willow, you could have picked
These are not
this.
scary to do.
No, because
think anyone
Patricia
could really-
like spoon feeds people. Like it's fantastic, especially 13 mesh.
Yeah, good.
Okay,
All right, and then, okay, a couple more.
we're in Christmas land. Oh, now we're in doggy land.
So I do
Can I
a
ask
lot
a
of,
quick question? Sorry, while we're transitioning in between canvases. Someone wanted to know if the tattoo-inspired sea turtle has a stitch guide.
it does not.
Okay.
No, I don't.
Nice. He looks great the way you stitched him, though. So
I don't think we have the large
I
one
don't
here.
have the big one.
It reminds
If I have
me
it
of
at
my
home
trip
somewhere, I have to
to
maybe
Hawaii.
dig
I
that up
just-
and I could maybe write it up.
no, I mean the the little guy. I was
mean the
talking
little
about. Oh,
guy?
is he not tattoo inspired? Sorry.
No, it's the bigger
Oh,
one.
It's
who
the
okay.
has-
bigger one that has the
Yeah. See, I'm
tattoo.
reading the comments and yeah.
It's hard to connect all the dots.
The mesh size of the Santas, those
Are
are
13.
13.
mesh.
Yeah, we had that discussion earlier today, didn't we,
Yeah.
Paige?
Yep.
Yes.
'Cause I sometimes do 14 and sometimes 13, and then I forget.
Yeah.
That is a 13. Okay, so I
Okay.
did a series of special delivery.
Well, did that kind of start out with this?
Sure.
Wasn't he one of your
He was
first
the first.
ones?
That's true.
So this is,
DACA is again, the German connection. My husband's German, so I have quite
how
a few
cute.
things that are a nod to our time in Munich. So the little dachshund has a Bavarian hat and the little Bavarian flag kerchief. That's on 18 mesh.
love it.
Yeah,
love
he's
it.
cute.
So he was like one of the first things I
That
think
was
I
an
ever
early-
ordered from you.
Yes.
Like way
You
back.
can tell because it's, what is it, P5. So pillow 5, that was my very sophisticated.
That was your fifth
numbering.
pillow canvas.
Yeah.
Works for me.
Yep.
Works for me. We're gonna talk about that guy in a minute. But okay, so that to me, as we're talking
That
about
did-
these special
that sorta
deliveries, so
kicked
they
off
evolved
the-
into this,
It
yes?
did. Oh, here,
Here,
I
I'll
even
hold
have it.
these.
I even have it stitched. Here's the stitch.
So there's the
guy.
canvas. Sorry, I'm trying to
So
use.
he's got packages and antlers, and he's got,
So
having
cute.
to make
Here, I'll
a
show you guys a
delivery.
little my arms are slightly longer than Paige's, or I'm sitting close to the table. I'm not sure
We're
which.
just more practiced at knowing
Well,
like how close to
That
get.
could also maybe be.
Yes.
But they're really cute. So stitch guides for these, or were these just all
No.
things that you did?
I just
Yeah, I
Made
made
it
these
up.
though, like we are happy, if
Yeah.
assuming, I
stitch
think
busters,
Paige
don't you think? You can just,
stash dive for everything. And we can send you pictures of these and, you
Absolutely.
can emulate what Paige has done and she'll be
I'm
flattered.
happy to share, no problem at all.
Yeah, so that's the dachshund and we also have a
So
yellow
then, 'cause
lab.
I have
yes.
labs, of course. I had to do the yellow lab.
And I love this pink background. So again, this canvas comes with no painted background. It's all white. And then she chose pink for it. Do you have a girl, is your lab a girl, or did you just like
I have
pink?
one yellow girly and one yellow boy, Duke.
Okay, I thought Duke, because this is actually Duke right here, yes?
No, that is another story altogether.
Oh, okay,
So
sorry.
let
I
me
don't
show
wanna
the
mess with
black
that.
lab and then we'll get to the golden. In here, I just, of course, then you get asked, well, do you have it in the black? So now we have the black lab as well.
Let's show our YouTube. We're filming on 2 cameras, so YouTube people can. What people have been loving about our YouTube channel is, and this is all my Rebecca that works for me. She said she's a young mom and she loves to watch all our videos, but to try to get all the attention of like an hour or sometimes 2 hours, she can't sit down and watch one video for 2 hours. YouTube, you can start and stop all the time. You
Okay.
can go back to it.
Revisit.
It tells you where you were.
that's
Instagram,
great.
not so much. So
Right.
now we throw it up on our YouTube
that's a
channel
great
for
idea.
people to watch afterwards. So
Fabulous.
if you happen to be watching on YouTube and you're watching this after the end of July, what's the last date of our trunk show? Do we know, Cal? Offhand?
I have to send it back on the 1st, so
Like July 26th, something
Yeah,
like
yeah,
that.
yeah.
We're gonna guess at that date right now. If you're watching after July 26th, all of these things will still be available. Unfortunately, no longer at 20% off. So, there we
Get
go.
them while they're hot.
Get them while they're hot. That's right.
Okay, couple more animals.
God, these were new fairly
Kitty
recently.
cat- I was on an antler
God, they're
kick, I
so
guess. So
darling.
I was thinking about the things that your animals bring as special gifts. So of course the cat has got a nice dead mouse to bring
See that?
home.
There's
So
this
proud.
mouse. So cute.
That was Kitty's gift, and then Doggy's gift, and this is true story. True story. This has happened more than once at my house, where my dog has brought me home a little skunk as a gift.
Oh, and how many washings took to get that smell out?
That is not a fun process.
No, no.
that's
My
tough.
dogs thankfully have never been skunked, and I don't know how
boy.
I've gotten so
Oh,
lucky because
boy.
I know it's a job.
Yeah, it's a
I
job.
know it's a job.
And then we can just look at this guy here.
So I'll
So
grab the
this
stitch version.
golden retriever was designed for a dear customer of ours at Wool and Willow, and she has, I believe it's a nephew who was getting a service animal, and she gave me pictures of the golden retriever puppy that was going to be his service animal, and she asked me to make a pillow for him. So this has a very special place in my heart. But he's got a sweet little face and a little smile that the golden retriever always does, and that's been a really great seller for us.
And here's her finished version, and I will tell you that I helped my daughter Kaylee stitch hers. And I don't know if we've told you this, but her best friend from high school got married last year, and it is her husband, Lizzie and Jesse's wedding gift.
Oh, that's so, sweet.
She's like, they just are all about their dog, and it's a special time in their lives. And so and Lizzie is an avid knitter, and they've knitted together over the years, but Lizzie doesn't needlepoint, so she's gonna be thrilled.
It's really great.
And I think she decided to finish it very, very similarly to this, ironically. So really pretty. It's with our finishers, and Kayla's like, oh, I wish it was back so we could show it off, and then she'll be so happy to know that you brought yours for us to show off. So thank you.
Great.
Yeah. Okay, what
right.
else do we have going on over there? Some birds? Should we do our birds?
Sure, we could do some birds.
Those birds are very pretty. I'm gonna get these hangers out of the way.
So R3, here's one of the original.
I think that was an oldie but a goodie.
It is an oldie but a goodie. Of course, the cardinal.
And that's on 13
This is me
mesh,
being
correct?
homesick for Virginia, you know, the mountains, the cardinal. That's right up my alley.
So
And here
pretty.
it is stitched. It's 13 mesh, so I don't know how it is here, but we often found it when we'll other customers that want ornaments and there's just not so many on 13.
There aren't. It's hard to find good ones on 13.
So there you go. There's your 13 mesh option.
Really
Mary
pretty.
Kay says, it was so sweet of you to make this for my nephew. My nephew
Aw.
treasures his pillow.
And I didn't know that's who you made it for, because
Yes.
Mary Kay just sent me I'm glad you announced that, Kelly, because Mary Kay just sent me the most beautiful homemade birthday card.
Oh.
And I say homemade and you're gonna think it's like tchotchke.
She's
Oh my gosh.
very talented.
Yeah,
yes.
it's so beautiful. I'm gonna show it to you before you leave. So
Oh,
that
I
was
can't wait.
really, really sweet of you. And I think she's coming up
She's
sometime
coming
soon.
in September.
Nice.
For the class. I think.
She's coming for our ribbon class, I thought
Yeah.
so.
And she also said, please, please, please do the sunflower mystery class.
Ooh, I'll
Yes.
come too. We'll
Yes,
make
we're
a day of
excited.
it.
Okay, this one is beautiful. I'll be honest, I don't really like stitching birds. I find stitching birds really hard, so that's probably why I don't like them, because
Yeah.
no one likes to do hard things. But this little chickadee,
Little
is that what he is?
chickadee.
Yeah.
We have bird feeders, so I'm always looking to see like who's coming to the bird feeder.
And what's
I
hanging
just-
from the
He's
branch?
on a branch with little dried berries. It's a winter scene.
So pretty. The colors are so fantastic together. I absolutely adore it.
You know, I didn't do it. I know you can do all kinds of fancy things, but hey, that's basket weave.
And
It's
a
just-
beautiful
I
background
try to paint
choice,
the
though.
details on there, so if you don't want to get fancy with it, you don't have to.
And you do a lot of your own finishing, do I remember that? No? This one I
No.
think we did, because I recognized the bead.
Yeah,
Yes,
that's our beads.
So, but this
did.
buffalo check on the back is really good, and I wouldn't have highlighted that if I
So good.
realized initially that it was our finishers, but yeah, they did a great job.
I have
So,
not
that's a
dipped a
fun
toe
choice.
into the finishing yet.
I thought
I
someone
would
just-
like to maybe just try it once to see how daunting
Yeah.
it is, but
I tried it once and I said, never again. It was not fun to me. I credit all of you who do your own finishing. Like,
Amazing.
I bow at your feet. I did not enjoy it. And my results were
Not so
very
good.
subpar.
Yeah, I
Very
think- I
subpar.
think that takes some practice.
I took
to
it
get good
apart
at.
and had my finishers redo it.
Fix it,
So
please.
That's the beauty, is you really can't ruin anything, so there's no harm in like trying. Just don't glue it up, don't cut it too close, but if you follow some basic rules, like you
try
can't
again.
ruin it. Like I did it was awful, and now it's beautiful because my professional finishers went for it. But some people just take to it right away. Okay, where are we at?
Should we see some London or what?
Sure, well, I was gonna show this, I don't think we've
Oh.
shown this guy yet, and the reason I wanna show him is because he's been one of our most popular sellers of the trunk show.
Oh.
And she's
Stitching
stitching it right now, which is
Somebody
super
can bring me my
yeah.
stitched canvas.
Yeah,
and
it's
show it out.
incredible.
Here's a bigger guy here.
Yeah.
And where did that golden retriever pillow go? This canvas, so sorry. Why,
Canvas.
Paige can talk about that. Oh my gosh, she's even got her.
Okay, so tell us what this is.
So this is a
Oops,
ghost
sorry.
crab, the little bitty sand crabs that
Sorry.
come out at night. Inspired by a trip to the Outer Banks.
Oh, I
I do
love
have a new
Banks.
Outer Banks round too. I don't know where it is,
You
but I can show
do?
that as well.
That was one of our
Here.
first like trips as a couple.
Yeah, so these go together.
me
The
in
crab and the Outer Banks
Flip
go
this
hand in hand.
Whoops, sorry, that
What do you need?
slippery
Oh,
little
canvas
canvas
went
got away
overboard.
from me.
Slippery
sorry.
little sucker.
Yeah, that's the good news with me. I'm clumsy, but nothing really breaks
Yeah,
here.
so the lighthouse, the fishing poles, the guy out there, whatever it is they're doing, windsurfing, wind sailing.
Wind sailing, there we go. Yeah, I couldn't
Crab,
remember the name of it.
sandpipers, and then I did this cute little crab.
And I love the like kind of, I don't know if those are Greek key corners, but like Greek
Yes.
key-ish corners
Yes.
at least. Really pretty, and you're
Yeah,
stitching
and
it
I'm
now.
working
She's
on
working
it
on
now.
today.
I just was working on it today. And I have a fun background. There's two different fibers. It's two
Really
strands
pretty.
of petite silk lame. So it's fun.
Really, really nice. And that's been one of our biggest sellers, did you say, Cal?
That is a new
Yes,
piece.
That's
from the trunk show.
interesting. I love
Yes,
it.
released in March,
Yeah.
so that's new to the collection, as is the
Okay.
Outer Banks. Yeah.
Sounds good. Okay, what else do we have going on?
Should we look at London?
London.
We'll revisit London.
Yeah, so I said earlier that we've done one other live together. Paige and I have spent a lot of time together. We've only been live together on a video, and she was in Cleveland.
I was at home, yep.
And I was here, and it was so embarrassing because we're talking about all of her London series that had been exclusive to the Wool and the
Yes.
Willow. And you're like, I'd like you to have it after it comes off of exclusive. I'm like, okay. Well, I've only been to London like twice in my life, which I'm very fortunate to have been twice, but I'm not like Anglophile who
Right.
like plans all of their trips to go
Yes.
back to the motherland, you know, so you had to tell me what everything was. It was super embarrassing, but I think I know what a lot of them are now.
All credit to Ann Forker, who loves,
an Anglophile.
loves England and goes often.
Goes
and
home to the mothership.
Many of these are from designs that were on her tree in some original form, and then we painted them up for a series and a club.
Okay.
But let me just run through these really quickly because they're a lot of fun. Harrods. There's several buildings in the collection. There's Harrods. This is on 18. These are all on 18.
The colors in the
Fortnum and Mason.
is so good.
Which has the most incredible food and homewares,
That's where St.
baskets, incredible baskets that you can fill with goodies, tea and marmalades
pretty.
and yummy things. I love going there. Such a cool place. Liberty of London. So I stitched this as a stand-up, and it's got Liberty of London fabric on the back.
Of course,
Of
as
course.
it should. And here is Downing Street, is that
Yes,
right?
10 Downing.
See, I've kind of learned since the last time, Paige. I might not always be smart, but I do have a way of learning.
This is the post box for Elizabeth. The Gold State Coach.
I was gonna call it the Royal Carriage.
Yes, that's exactly what it is. It's one of them, one of them. And the corgi with her little crown is tipped off to the side. That comes also on 13 mesh, Melissa has.
And do you still have the needle minders to the?
I just put
I
it on
do.
page. We just
Oh.
put it there and then.
I mean, come on.
Here's the
If you
needle
don't want to
minder.
stitch this whole thing, at least grab up that needle
And
minder.
then we
She's
have a
so
little
cute.
bear soldier too, but he's kind of hiding on the wall down there.
Oh,
He's in the
all
bottom
the way on the
corner.
bottom. Okay, we'll grab him.
Take
at some
our
point.
word for it.
Yeah, you can check him out on the website.
Yeah.
Okay. Should we have to show off that little barn, because that
Oh.
barn is so cute. I've had, this we have sold
Tip of the
a
hat to our
number.
horse people. I
I
moved
stitched
my
it
horse
last year.
people
I
out.
showed it.
This little red barn with a wreath and
So
a
sweet.
horsey.
And there's the finished version. So cute. Okay, and for the real diehard, because this to me is like, oh, my kid likes to go to the petting farm or the apple orchard where there might be a barn with horses, but this is like
This
the
is the
real
hunt.
English.
The hunt, yeah.
Yes, so good.
Yeah,
So,
hunters.
Did you show the coasters?
I think we did.
Well, and we're gonna back up, I'm gonna back up to this guy for a little bit, and I don't know if they're here, but there is one thing in Paige's line that I don't think anyone else has touched. Do you see how darling this little dog is? Well, this is a very happy scene. You have those rainbow bridges. Are the rainbow bridges here?
I've discontinued
discontinued
those.
them.
Probably because everyone had to cry when they saw them.
They like the idea of it, but then
No
I
one
just
wants
didn't
to
matter
stitch it.
how
It was
many
painful.
it is.
I mean, but it was so sweet because it was
I did
when
stitch
your dog is
as-
passing and.
When my dog Dozer died, I stitched out for him. I could always bring him back if somebody's really dying to have it, but
Dying is maybe the wrong
it's
word.
a sad, sad subject.
I know, it is, but you know, I was talking to someone the other day and I said, you know, we've all been through it. Anyone who's had dogs, your dog crosses the rainbow bridge and you're like, I'm never getting another dog. That was way too hard. And 3 days later,
You're
you're looking
looking
at
for puppies.
You're looking on the rescue sites. You're checking in with your breeder if you're someone who's.
Right, it's so true. I don't think I could be without dogs ever again.
No.
I love my dogs.
I
They're
know.
really part of the family.
For
so.
sure. I'm gonna grab Liz's stitch version that's back here.
Yes, and we'll show.
Yeah,
It
we
was a
love-
set of 5 coasters. I call them boozy sea creatures. They're different crustaceans and such with their beverage of choice.
More of hers than just this?
There's the
Yes.
blue crab with a beer. These are all 4-inch squares.
Here's
on
Liz's stitch
18.
version.
Oh, that's so great. Whoa, so good.
Yeah, that was, Liz came in today just in the afternoon to help us out, and she made a point to bring these, which I thought was really,
And
really
the
thoughtful.
lobster with champagne, which happens to be my favorite drink.
And here is Liz's version of the stitch lobster, so good. And I think she is planning on actually making these as true coasters.
Okay. And the octopus with a double martini.
We're going to get my napkin. Some, I don't know. I'm better.
And 2 more. This was your idea. I think you asked your customers for ideas for me.
We did, we
sea
threw out
turtle.
like send in your best ideas
Yeah.
for your next
Yep,
boozy
yep, yep.
sea creature.
Sea turtle drinking a marg.
Margarita.
And I love
With
it.
a little curly straw, there you go. And then for our Kentucky Derby people, seahorse with a mint julep. So the horse, of course,
So
has
cute.
to have the mint julep.
So cute.
And because
Okay.
I was running in and out, did you show the angels? Because those have also been flying out.
They're up there.
Well,
Will
no,
you grab
I brought one of each
Oh.
down here.
Sorry.
Somewhere.
I
Well, they
do
might have gotten
love,
put
we're gonna
away.
find the angels. I love the angels. One of my like family
They
stories
might have gotten.
is,
There they are.
Well,
I just think that
one of my family stories is growing up, my grandmother got me and my sister an angel every year for Christmas. And my grandmother did not come from a lot of means, so a lot of times in her mind, they were handmade because that's all she could afford to do, but of course that made them all the more special. And now my mother, after my grandmother passed, my grandmother died fairly young, my mother continued the angel collection. Now there's so many angels, like I can barely get them out
You
at
need a
Christmas. Like
separate
they fill the
display for them.
entire top of the piano, and then the lower levels of the piano, like just a stand-up piano, like not a grand piano, but still lots of them. So anytime I see a good angel, it warms my heart. So you have finished these as ornaments, but I think they could be done like on sticks as a stand-up.
Oh, would that be
Like
nice.
they'd be like flying over the rest of the
How cute.
collection.
See,
So
you
yeah.
have the finishing ideas. I hadn't thought of that. This is the first one I did. It's called Garden Angel, to just continue my gardening theme there. She has a floral decoration on
Sorry,
her skirt.
I'm not doing a very good job. My chair went out and now I can't
Oh,
reach.
no.
There we go. Okay. So
And
pretty.
I did have requests for more, so I added this.
So
Oh,
cute.
it's so cute. She's a peace angel. She has an olive branch design on her dress, and she's holding a dove.
So
And
pretty.
the wings are a little bit glimmery.
Yeah,
They'd
so I
also
think,
be- oh, sorry.
good. I think that they are obviously great as a hanging ornament. Here we go. But yeah, my vision was to kind of finish it exactly in this shape, but instead of putting the hanger on it, to have like
On
a
a stick.
stick,
Is
a
it
dowel.
boxed then? How do you do it? How do you
Um,
get the stick on there?
The dowel can go in between.
Oh, okay.
We also have done this before with an acrylic dowel, an acrylic base, which would be really pretty because it'd just be like she's actually
She's
flying.
flying.
Yeah.
And then this
Last
one,
but not
another
least,
one of
This
my
is the wool and the
bird.
floss color version.
She's blue angel with a little robin in her hands.
And the thing I love about this one is you could do a really pretty stitch in these two pieces because they're just big open space, and then you've got your
So I like
details
to
down
have
here.
one that's open to let the stitchers run wild.
And her
So,
feet are so cute. Now, but do the finishers a favor, don't leave those feet hanging out there. Like those feet
You
need
gotta have a
some,
little,
they need some shadow stitching around
yes, a
them.
little help around
But,
the edge.
yeah, so sweet. Okay,
I was thinking that'd also be beautiful on a wreath or garland.
That's true. That'd be really good.
so have we kind of covered the highlights? I know there's
I
so
mean,
much more.
There's more to see
Like
on the
more,
website.
more.
Sleds, you've shown the sleds a million times. So
We've
Yes.
sold a million of them.
You
We love that
have, you
design.
So the
Yeah.
sleds were so cute to start with, and then when the sleds came in, Kelly's like, "Oh my gosh, I have to stitch these." Is it? She says to me, "Is it okay if I write a stitch guide?" I'm like,
I guess
yeah."
it'll be okay.
Not only is the stitch guide always help, but Kelly is a very, very talented stitcher and always has fantastic ideas. So yeah, we've
I
got
stitched
those.
them on your plan too, so.
Yeah, so I
see
think
that?
Paige had already stitched them, and then didn't you
I
stitch
did
them
them again.
again?
Yeah,
I was so flattered.
I did an ornament version, and then Kelly did the stand-up, which is just,
They're
I
really sweet.
mean, so amazing.
Yeah, so these are on our website. If you want the stitch guide, this isn't Kelly's version, this is Paige's version. If you want Kelly's version of the stitch guide, it covers both the boy and the girl in one guide. Just put a note in your online order or let us know here, and we're happy to have her bring in a stitch guide. Are they $35? Do you remember the stitch guide price?
I don't, but I think that makes sense.
I feel like that's right, but don't
I think
totally
it's
quote me.
35 because it covers both.
Yeah, I think that's right. So I think we've talked about a lot
We
of
did.
different things. But what's coming up the pike? What can I expect to see in
Oh,
October?
So I'm adding to the London series.
Okay. Some other places I won't know,
not
but you'll
stores,
educate me.
No, Kew Gardens, the Palm House
sorry.
of Kew Gardens.
See again.
For
Don't
London.
know.
It's a botanical garden. Some water lilies. I think I teased that on Instagram last week.
Okay.
A few other things. You'll have to come in October to market and
I'll
see
be
what
there.
you see.
I've already got my hotel rooms. I need to get busy on my flight plans. I haven't done that
Yes.
yet, but
I haven't done that
That's the
either,
next
but yeah,
step.
I'll meet you there.
good. Well, and speaking of flight plans, we're gonna wrap this up. Let Paige get out of here because she has a 3-hour drive home. 4:20, so we should get you out of here before
I'll head
rush
home.
hour. Yeah.
It's okay.
But thank you all for joining us. I hope you enjoyed chatting with Paige as
I
much as
enjoyed
I
being
did.
here.
So appreciate your time, and if you see anything, you've got questions, let us know. Everything again is on the website, so you're welcome to place an online order. If it says it's out of stock, it's automatically a pre-order, and you'll know that. And
get it
Kelly's
to you as
really
fast
good.
as I can.
Yeah, Kelly's really good about getting those orders together. So,
Right.
thank you all for joining us. Thank you for
you.
coming. Most
My
importantly,
pleasure. Thank
we
you.
appreciate one and all. Thanks. Bye.